Hey there, welcome back to Badass List Building. We're still in Module 3, creating your opt-in page, and this is actually the last lesson. Lesson 4, we're talking about writing copy for above the fold. Now, in the last lesson, we talked about the fact that the above the fold section is the most important thing, so obviously the copy that you write for above the fold is critically important, so that's what we're covering here in this lesson. Now, the truth bomb is that in a world where you have about a second to grab attention, writing great copy isn't optional, it's required. Literally, if you want to get people to opt into your list, but also generally, if you want to just be successful as an entrepreneur, you're going to need to learn to write great copy. This is something you have to build this skill set if you want to succeed. So that's what we're talking about. Now, let's talk about your headline, because the headline is the single most important piece of copy on your opt-in page, so you need to make it good. We're going to start with the headline because this really is where everything starts in creating a great opt-in page. Now, your headline should be benefit-driven and should knock down objections and obstacles. Basically, what you're doing is you're promising them a benefit and telling them they can get that benefit without having to do something if it's an objection, or even if they have a problem in the case of an obstacle or something that they think would stop them from getting that result. So that's what your headline is going to do. It's going to make the promise to them. Now, what I want to do now is go through a few basic structures or different structures you can use to create headlines. These are meant as a guide to get started. Once you get better at writing copy, you can stop using these, but it is a good place to start when you're kind of like just getting your feet wet. So the basic structure would look something like this. Discover how to, and then you would insert the result they want without, and then you would put something they don't want. So you're telling them, hey, you can get this result, you're making a promise, without doing something that is kind of an objection, something they don't want to have to do. So here's an example. Discover how to build your online business without the sleazy sales tactics most people are pushing. The result they want, build your online business. That's something they want. The objection, they don't want to have to use sleazy sales tactics. So we're saying, hey, you can do it without the sleazy sales tactics. So that's the basic structure in place. Now, if instead of an objection, they don't want to use sleazy sales tactics, instead, what if they had an obstacle, something that they think would stop them from being successful or from being able to get the result? Then you use this structure, the even if. Discover how to, again, get the results you want, even if, and you put in the common obstacle. Now, the classic example of this I'm not going to talk about because a lot of people in the online space use it, and they're making a promise that isn't right. You need to make sure that they can still get the result even if they have the obstacle, but you need to think this through. And if there is a common obstacle, you can use that. So here's an example. Discover how to get your legal protection in place even if the legalese makes your head spin. So what is the result they want? They want their legal protection in place. What is their obstacle? Well, the legalese, I don't understand it. And so I'm basically saying, hey, even if that's the case, don't worry. We'll help you. You can get your protection in place. So that's the case. This is an example of that structure. Now, if your freebie is step-based, like 3 steps, 5 steps, some small number of steps for people to perform, you can use the step structure for your headline. You put in the number of steps, easy steps too, and then put the result, and then either the without or the even if. You generally wouldn't use both the without and the even if. You would use one or the other. But the point is, if there's a limited number of steps for them to take, you want to use that. And the point is, you only do this if it's a limited number, because the point is you're highlighting how easy it will be. So, for example, 3 easy steps to comply with the GDPR before the deadline and without the hysterics. And you can kind of see that what you're doing here is really highlighting this can be simple. I'm going to give you 3 steps and you're going to get your work done. So that's the point. And this literally is a headline I used back then on a training I did that was kind of that got a ton of people in because I was telling them, hey, I'm going to make this simple for you, unlike most people. So that's kind of the step structure. Now, one of the things I want to highlight is that if the result clause that you're promising people starts with a verb, you can always choose to leave off the how-to section or the discover how-to. You can just start with the result. Let me give you an example. Create binge-worthy emails that create red-hot raving fans, starting with your first email. Again, you can see I just start straight with the result. Create binge-worthy emails that. I'm telling them what they're going to get. And so that is, you can leave it off, and that's a good headline. Saying discover how to wouldn't necessarily help because they don't really care about discovering. They just want to do it. So starting straight with the results clause can sometimes work just well. So those are the basic structures, and I want you to take this with you. Writing a great headline is worth the time and effort, so try out multiple versions before picking the final one. Normally, you should probably write multiple headlines and see which one really resonates the most with you and which one is fitting, and then pick that one and go with it. So that's your headline. Now let's talk about bullets. Next to the headline, your bullets are the most important copy on your opt-in page because they're basically the only other thing that's above the fold. And so, you want to make sure that this is good as well. You need to really focus on your bullets. What the bullets do is they draw out the benefits and kind of let people understand the results a bit more specifically. And that's kind of what you're doing. You're giving them more context so they can understand it a bit more. But the big thing here is they need to lay out benefits. What you're often going to do is use the bullets to turn kind of the features into the benefits to really make people recognize the value they will get from signing up. This is something that I want to highlight. Features are things like, in my case, that my templates come with video instructions, or that it was created by a Harvard law grad. Those are features of my stuff, but you want to turn those into benefits to really give meaning to them. And an easy way to create benefits-driven bullets is to add a "so that" clause after the features. In other words, you take a feature and then add a "so that," and you don't have to have "so that," you can put just "so," but adding that in so you can really kind of up the value and make people understand it. So here's an example. This is from that 3-part GDPR training. An overview of the GDPR's requirement. That's a feature, right? I'm telling them it's an overview. And then I say, so you know what you need to do to comply. So I'm giving them that value. The next one, how to build your email list in a GDPR world. So you don't have to quit building your most important asset. So I'm taking, in that one, I was going deeper and taking it out of the legal world and saying, let's talk about what this means for your business overall. So, that's kind of how I was doing it. You can see how I'm doing that. And again, the last one is not a "so that" clause, but it's kind of, we could have worded it as "so that you meet the GDPR's requirement." It's the same general concept. But what I want you to understand is that adding a "so that" clause is not the only way to do it. The point simply is that you want to make sure that every bullet has some kind of clause that's talking about a benefit, not a feature. Sometimes you can actually have the benefit first and then tie it to a feature later. But let's look at some other examples of bullets. Again, easy to understand. I think this is from describing my privacy policy. So easy to use and customize. That right there is the benefit. So that's really the thing. And then again, it says thanks to the video instructions. So instead of saying it comes with video instructions so that it's easy to use and customize, I simply went straight with the benefit. But it's tied into a feature, right? It's tied in so that you can kind of see how it works. Then the next one, GDPR compliant to help you deal with the pain in the arse. Now again, the point is that the pain in the arse is like dealing with that is the benefit. Getting that out of your life is the benefit. And so I'm simply saying it's GDPR compliant. And then you can see the last one is a classic example of adding the "so that" clause. It's created by a Harvard law grad turned online entrepreneur. That's the feature. So you can have confidence in your legal policy because the confidence is what they need. So this is kind of an example of, various ways that you could do a bullet that includes a benefit, not simply a feature. But the point is that you just always want to include a benefit rather than just talking about the feature. So that's how you write your bullets. So that's it for bullets. And now to sum up this lesson, take the time to write a results-driven headline and benefit-driven bullets to grab your visitors' attention from the top. If you do that, that will help your conversion. If you follow all the guidance in this module and use these copy tips, you should have a high-converting opt-in page. That's it for this module. That's it for the course. Now head over and take your final exam.